Let's go. Happy Sunday, everybody. What is going on? Let's give everybody a minute to get in. I don't know if it's going to be a lot of people today. I didn't really give much notice that I was going live. I said yesterday I'd be going live at some point today, but I only brought it up I only posted it about an hour ago. What is going on? How is everybody doing today? Put a 1 in the chat so I know that you're here. All fancy with the StreamYard? You could tell, huh? I don't even know how to use this damn thing. But I kept saying that I was going to learn, and I kept saying I was going to start pulling comments on the screen, especially like with the supers. I feel like when people send supers, I should be able to pull them on the screen. But I am an OBS man, so I'm going to probably go back and forth a little bit until I get this down pat. All right, let's get right to it though. Nope, not that one. Not that one. All right, let's start here. Actually, I got to separate this. No, that's not what I wanted to do. Yo, I am such a tech-tard, I swear. What did I do here? That's not good. Bear with me. Nope. All right, let's watch. Oh, they got Bruce Springsteen again. Washington, D.C. San Francisco. This is all the same day, by the way. What does that tell you? Now, what does that tell you? You see these things all over the country. All over the country. From what I understand, I was reading something that said that they had 3,000 events. I'm like, that can't be right. That can't be right. You guys have any idea? I was like looking into this a little bit. I was reading into this a little bit. Actually, let me pull this on the screen. I'll show you guys my notes. I didn't do it for long. I only it was like literally the last half hour before I went live. I was looking into this because I'm like, I got to see what's going on. It just doesn't really make sense. But let me pull it up on the screen. I got I don't know if you guys could see. So I have I have a couple of nodes for the live. These are supposed to be bullet notes. But like I said, this literally just came up on the screen, like right before I went live. So let's just read it together. All right. All right. So No Kings is a coordinated coalition. It's not purely spontaneous. It's not a purely spontaneous protest wave. Okay. The official No Kings material says that there was over 3,000 events planned for March 28th, 2026, later updated to 3,300. The coalition publicly names organizers, including Indivisible, 50501, Move On, Civic Action, Public Citizen, SEIU, NEA, National Nurses United, Human Rights Campaign, United We Dream, ACLU, AFT, Common Defense. There's a couple other ones on here that they didn't name that a little Benihana related, but that's another story. We don't have to put any focus on that. It's saying that the current No Kings brand started in 2025. They made a nationwide Defiance Day on March 6, 2025. Indivisible events pages also described the campaign as something that began in 2025 and became a sustained national action. The central political target is Trump. Oh, you don't say. The public framing across coverage is opposition to President Donald Trump, especially his immigration policies, war on Iran, the broader claims of authoritarianism. The AP describes the protests as driven by opposition to Trump's immigration policy and the war on Iran. Billionaires' oligarchy is part of the messaging frame. Coverage of the protests identifies themes including billionaire influence, cost of living pressure, voting rights threats, immigration crackdowns, the anti-war messaging. Okay, now what do you guys notice anything missing here? You guys notice anything missing? You know, something connected to Trump and a lot of the problems that we're having that's just not getting mentioned at all? Anybody want to take a guess? Anybody? Bueller? Don't worry, we'll get there. The biggest public political faces attached to the March 28th flagship was Bernie Sanders. Oh, we'll take a listen to what he had to say. Don't worry. Multiple reports on the St. Paul flagship event says that Senator Bernie Sanders appeared alongside celebrities like Jane Fonda and Bruce Springsteen. Yeah, those two are always getting involved, especially Jane Fonda. I didn't even know. You know, God bless her that she's still kicking doing this. She's got to be like 80 or something by now. That makes Sanders one of the most visible elected officials publicly tied to the protest day. Other politicians were involved locally, too. Local reporting shows elected Democrats and Democratic-aligned figures speaking at or helping promote events, including Michigan Governor Garland Gilchrist at a Midland rally and local Democratic Party structures in places like Bad Axe that points to overlap with normal Democratic political machinery at the local level. Indivisible is one of the key institutional hubs. ProPublica's nonprofit database shows Individual Project reported about $10.4 million in 2024 revenue, $12.2 million in expenses. Oh no, they took a loss. But don't worry, guys. They got about 5.7 million in assets. It is listed as a 501c4, a related entity. Now it's just pulling up some of the money. But my whole point is that this is not like a grassroots. These are not organic protests. These are not organic protests at all. These are funded and they're organized by institutions. And they had happened all at once. Now, what do you guys think is the real reason for these protests? I want you to really think about it. Take yourself out, you know, like how I say that we live in this like little matrix bubble. Like take yourself out. Like eliminate the left versus right from your mind for a minute and just think, what is the point? You know what I think it is? I think it's narrative control. I really do. I think it's narrative control. And I think that the same thing is happening on both sides and that people are getting played. You know, when I say people, I mean we the people on both sides. Because think about it. If you're on the right, they had all these problems. The left opened up the borders and, you know, there's all the, you know, trans issues if that's your thing, you know, whatever side you're on. If you're on the right, you're not really pro-trans majority of the time. Like, let's just be real. I'm not like trying to stir up any political debates here on how things should be. I'm just pointing it out because it is one of the points. But if you're on the right, you know, they made it look like Trump was the hero. He's the one that's going to save the day. He's going to close the border. He's going to fix the economy. And if you're on the left, they make him out to be the boogeyman. That like the billionaires are the problem. The billionaires. You know, they don't talk about where they're from, who they're financing, what their motivations are. It's just billionaires. If you're a billionaire, you're bad. That's it. You should pay more money. Billionaires equate to being greedy and need to pay more, and then everybody else will do better. And that Trump is like the Darth Vader of the bunch. He is like the worst of the worst. Any problems that you have if you're on the left, you could just blame Trump, and that's what it is. But Trump made a lot of promises that he didn't really keep, as we know. Immigration, he brought ICE in, and I said right away that I was worried about ICE, that I felt like ICE was here for us, that they weren't really going to be here for the immigrants. And now you look, months and months later, they got billions and billions of dollars in funding. They have the Palantir software where it's extremely invasive, but they're not really deporting anybody. Like the border, they got that border under control like that. Like the Democrats could have did it. They could have did it, but they didn't. Then the Republicans get in and it's like, oh, we fixed the border. We fixed the border. We're the heroes. We saved America. Now just watch Fox News while we go and bomb the rest of the world and cover up for the files and do whatever the hell we want and do all this insider trading and make billions of dollars. And you guys are not going to hold us accountable. How dare you? Are you un-American? Are you a Democrat? Are you part of the left? We closed the border. And then, you get these institutions that organize these protests, and it's anti-Trump, anti-Trump, anti-Trump. Well, they reference the war with Iran, but why are they having this protest now? Why didn't they have this protest a month ago or 2 months ago, when the files first came out? Like, that should have been the time. When the files came out and we saw what was happening to children, that was the time that everybody should have hit the streets and said, we want accountability. We want something to happen. But they didn't do it, did they? Why? Why'd they wait till now? Why didn't they do it at the very beginning of the war? The first day of the war, when they bombed that school and killed 168 young Iranian girls. Why didn't they protest then? Why aren't they talking about the people that pushed Trump into the war? Why aren't they talking about the people that really have the files? Why aren't they protesting that? Why are they acting like it's all Trump, that Trump is the whole center of all this? You guys see where I'm going with this? You see what I think the problem is and why I'm so upset? It is bullshit. This whole thing is bullshit. It is all WWE. It is all theater. It is all charade. It is narrative control. The people that are marching in these protests, they really believe in their heart that they're making a difference, but they're being misled. They don't know what the real problem is. And then they get on camera and let's see how they're making this look on Fox News. I keep telling you guys, my pattern recognition is not to be fucked with. Sorry for the language. But it's just true. Yo, I really suck with StreamYard. I'm not even kidding. I got to figure out what the hell I'm doing here. All right, let's see. Where is it? Which one is this? Okay, there it is. No Kings Rally Torched. All right, let's watch this bimbo and whoever this jerk off is. Let's see what they have to say.
Ask our team to keep that image up because I want to see what's going on there. I want to see what that balloon was.
That's one heck of a balloon right there.
Do you know what it was?
I don't. I'm afraid of it, though. I can tell you that. And I'm not afraid of many things in life.
Okay, it looks like Trump, my producers tell me.
There we go. It's Trump. That makes sense.
Yes, that makes sense. It's called TDS, right? Ben Ferguson, I know you'll be very animated.
It's called TDS, right? See, that's the narrative that they want. That's what they want the people on the right. The people on the right that really believe that there's these Iranian sleeper cells that are out to get us and we got to get them before they get us, even though we have all this money getting funded into ICE, all that Palantir software, and they haven't arrested a single Iranian sleeper cell. Why is that? It's like, no. Trump closed the border. He's making America great again. The left, they're all a bunch of idiots, and they all have TDS. And I used to believe that when people used to speak out against Trump and say all this crazy stuff. 1,000%, I had me hook, line, and sinker. It's like, what do you got, TDS? But the reason I thought they had TDS was because I thought that Trump actually stood for something. I thought we were going to get that accountability. I thought he was going to release the files. I thought he was going to drain the swamp, arrest all the PDFs, avoid the wars, end the conflicts, not go to war with Iran. That's why I thought they had TDS. But then he gets into power and he proves the Democrats were right. Not the Democrats, I'm sorry. They're all a bunch of scumbags. But I mean the civilians, the people on the left that knew that Trump was bad, even if they were not always 100% right on why Trump was bad. You know, because a lot of them, they're still going around saying that he's a PDF, he's a PDF. It's like, listen, like, maybe he is, maybe he's not, but there's a lot of really good evidence for other reasons why Trump is a scumbag. So if you're just sitting there saying, oh, he's a PDF, then you really don't know what you're talking about. And you should like watch my content or Danks or some other people that are like going to give you like the real story, the real information, so you could, you know, dislike Trump for the right reasons, not for like some propaganda. But let's keep going.
Animated by this, and I had our team verify this over and over, but this is an image of the No Kings protest today. MS Now, the liberal network.
Oh, hold on. I think I saw something. Yeah, Mad World, welcome back. You know I love you. You know we all love you. I didn't put your business out there. You know, I just told everybody that you were going to be away for a little bit. But she is back. So do me a favor. Everybody put a heart in the chat for my girl Mad World, please. Real quick.
Has a correspondent out there. You may recognize him, Joe Walsh.
Everybody's favorite mod, and it's not even close. And listen, all my other mods, I love you. I love you. But Mad is the OG.
He's a former Republican congressman.
Oh, wow.
You see his shirt says Trump, but no, that does not say go Trump, yay Trump, wow Trump. That literally says F*** Trump. I will leave that to the imagination of viewers. This is what they're doing over at MS Now?
Yeah, why not, right? I mean, you go all in if you're in the media right now and you just don't even lie about it anymore. We hate Trump. More importantly, we hate every American who voted for Donald Trump. So we have these rallies that say no kings that are literally funded by kings of the Democratic Party. I'd actually call them kingpins. They're like the top of the drug chain. And they're like, all right, we have all the money. We will organize these. We will fund them like kings. Our minions will show up. We'll pay many of those minions. We will buy these big balloons like the one you see on the screen right now. And then we're going to act like it's organic. And we'll use the media who's wearing a shirt that says F Trump to act like this is organic, and they cover for us. The problem with this is I don't think the American people are as dumb as they used to be on this. I think when things like this—
No, the problem is that behind the scenes, the people that are funding Fox are also funding this stuff. Maybe not directly, but everybody answers to somebody, okay? All these institutions, all these politicians getting involved, they all have AIPAC handlers. Yes or no? Like over 90% of the politicians that we have an AIPAC guy. Like that is a known thing. That is not like a guess. That is not a conspiracy theorist. Not a conspiracy theory. Like that is a known fact. It's been talked about. It's been corroborated. We all know that whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, you have an AIPAC guy. All of these institutions, they all end up going to the top of the chain somewhere. They're all answering to somebody. They're all dealing with some bank, some politician. And no shit, they're not organic. You're not going to have an organic protest with over 3,000 events in the same day. Nobody thinks that. But the problem is that the people that are going to these events, they don't understand that they're being herded like sheep. And now with everything that we know about geofencing, think about it. If the geofencing is happening in churches in the Midwest, okay, if they got over 500 plus churches where you walk in and they're tapping into your phone and then they're pinging everybody's phone that you come in contact with and accumulating all this data and making profiles. You don't think that the same thing is happening to every single person going to these events and protesting? You don't think that they have plainclothes feds like just scoping everything out and trying to profile people and identify different personality traits with people that could be problematic, people that could be potential patsies, people that they can end up, you know, giving the nudge to do something stupid, people that they think that have leadership qualities. Like people like, and if you don't know, like if you haven't done any of the research and you're just one of these people that just believes what you see on whether it's CNN or Fox News or any of these bullshit channels that people get their information from and have for the past couple decades, you're going to hear me make statements like that and you're going to think that I'm crazy. You know, you're going to think that I'm just a conspiracy theorist. But the fact is this is what is happening. We know this. We know this. We saw it with January 6th. January 6th, they were trying to say that it was totally organic, that it was an insurrection, that it was Trump. Remember? Trump started this insurrection. And then we found out later that there was over 200 plainclothes FBI agents on the scene. Now, if they want to argue, you know, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Did they show up there in response just to see what was going on and make sure it didn't get too crazy? Or were they there the whole time making sure shit got crazy? I can't say for sure. I have my theories. I have my opinions. I'm sure some of you have yours, but we don't really know. But we see this time and time again, and people just keep falling for it.
This happened in the past, you really thought, wow, this is organic. It's all bought and paid for by the kingpins of the Democratic Party, the Marxists, the Socialists, the Communists. This is another way to undermine America and destroy this country, which is their ultimate goal, I believe.
I'm looking at this image. I mean, it looks like they have 4 matching hats with beaks. I mean, Clay and Buck in their pastels would have really stood out in this image. They're allegedly there to protest Iran and cost of living. Where are the signs? Pay TSA workers, Democrats. Pay the ICE supporting.
Straw man argument. Hold on, let me find the right one. All right, yeah, I'll do this when I talk so you see more of me because that box is like mad small. Sorry, still getting used to StreamYard. Still getting used to StreamYard. But straw man argument. Straw man argument. And that's what both sides do. They do it so well. You bring up a legitimate argument about point A, and then they're going to pivot it to point B. And both sides have their valid points. Whether it's the left or the right, they're both going to have their valid points. You know, if somebody on the left argues about something that Trump is doing in the war with Iran, someone on the right could say, okay, well, what about Biden? Biden opened up the border. You know, Biden killed all those chickens and made the price of eggs go through the roof. You know, Biden did this, Biden did that. It just goes back and forth, and there's never any accountability. Never any accountability. And I mean, if you still need any type of evidence to know that we're getting played and that our politics and our whole political system is just theater and bullshit, just remember one thing, all right? Just remember one thing. They knew what was in these files for years. For years. And they charged Trump with what? How many felonies? 38 felonies. They brought him in for a mugshot over a clerical error because of the way that he wrote something off in his taxes or some shit. There's some money that may or may not have been paid out to Stormy Daniels that got written over here, whatever the hell it was. What about all those allegations? You know, what about the allegations regarding Katie Johnson? If they really wanted to hammer Trump, if they really wanted to hammer Trump and charge Trump and sabotage the election and make sure that he couldn't run, they had more than enough in those files, and they didn't do it. Why is that? When this whole Russian hoax thing happened, right? And then we find out that Hillary and Obama allegedly were behind it. And all the locker up chants, everything with Benghazi, everything with the private server emails, Pizzagate, those allegations. And then what happens? Hillary and Bill testified a month ago. Trump's wishing him good luck. Bill's not such a bad guy. He's a good guy. He hope he pulls through. Nancy Pelosi, all the insider trading. How come she's not investigated? How come she's not charged? You know what I mean? Like, what are we talking about here? What are we talking about here? Why are people still believing this? Why are people still believing that there is like this big battle between the left and the right? Like, how do people not see that it's us getting played? The battle is them versus us, okay? And it's very simple. Divide and conquer. You keep the left and the right against each other so that we can't unify and we don't have real protests. We don't organize real organic grassroots protests for the real issues. And that is the foreign involvement that's occupying our government. Put a 1 in the chat if you think that I might, not even that if you think I'm right, but if you think that I'm onto something, you know, just maybe I'm onto something. All right, let's see what else this bimbo has to say.
Civilian staff. I thought they cared about federal workers. I heard that for a year. Where are those signs?
Yeah. Yeah. No, you know, it's funny. I actually asked AI earlier today, and I think you'll enjoy this. How do you destroy a country without war? It gave me the playbook of what you're watching on TV right now. It says, number 1, you need to purposely have economic mismanagement, runaway spending, unsustainable debt, and overregulation to choke your government. It then said, number 2, you need to break down law and order. This goes to what they're doing with ICE right now. It says, if laws aren't enforced consistently, whether on crime, borders, or corruption, we're dealing with that in corruption, Minnesota and LA right now, and the
Sorry, I caught it. I caught it. I caught it. I caught it. Don't worry. Don't worry. You didn't miss much. I was just saying to myself, apparently, that how about the irony there? The irony there. He's saying law, you need consistency with laws and dealing with corruption. I don't know. Like, you mean like consistency that our politicians and the billionaire class should follow the same laws as the American people? You mean the kind of corruption that we've seen happening with the files? And all these years later, not a single person has been arrested. Actually, not only has not a single person been arrested, but we're like -2 on the arrest count. Because, I mean, let's face it, J.E. did not off himself, and he's not in jail. That guy's out living his best life. Out living his best life. You could bet your ass that he's not in a bunker in Tel Aviv right now either. Like, that guy is getting into something. Who knows what? Who knows where? But it's the truth. And then Ghislaine Maxwell, I mean, the last time, like, people haven't even talked about her on the news. The last time we saw her testifying, well, I don't know when it was, because the person that they said was Ghislaine Maxwell was definitely not Ghislaine Maxwell. I mean, you guys have all seen the picture. I don't need to bring it up. So, like, when this guy talks about accountability and dealing with corruption, or else the country's going to fall apart, I think that he's spot on. Except it doesn't really match up with what's actually going on and what they're promoting. More straw man arguments and nonsense. Oh, let's keep going.
hospice centers and all of that. We're dealing with an open board Democrats are in favor of, and with illegal immigrants voting. It says then public confidence will collapse and disorder then can grow. And then it said you need weak or inconsistent leadership, frequent policy reversals, lack of clear direction, or saying you refuse to go along with what the laws say if you are in the government and in power. And then finally, it says you need cultural and social division. So this is what we're watching right now. It's almost like the Democratic Party went to AI and said, tell me how to destroy America. And we're going to use that.
Like, the gaslighting is insane. The gaslighting is insane. They're sitting there talking about all the things that Trump is doing, all the things that Trump and his administration are guilty of, but he's just pointing the finger at the left. You got Trump sitting there saying that now that Iran is taken care of, which is not, by the way. Make no mistake, Iran is not taken care of. Trump cannot get out of this war fast enough. They are not giving him the off-ramp. Iran is in this till the end. It's going to be them or Israel. That's just how it's going to be. Iran, if Trump wanted to, right now, to just try to back out and declare victory and say, oh, we took out their navy, we did this, we did that, we're out, we won, hurrah. Iran will just keep kicking in Tel Aviv's dick. Like, they are not going to stop. America and Israel started this war, and now they have to finish it. And Trump has just screwed up so badly. And the world knows it. Everybody knows it. But he's in his second term. He's not running for office again. I mean, let's face it, the guy is old as fuck. You know, like, so they're just gonna throw him under the bus. Just blame it all on him. And I think that they want to blame it all on him and then try to. I feel like the Republicans have two paths right now. They're either going to keep trying to boost up like J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio, but I don't think that's going to work. I think that was the plan originally, that they were going to set up J.D. Vance to run after Trump, but I don't think anybody's ever going to freaking trust his word after this. Even if he says, "Oh, I was against the war," it's like, okay, why didn't you speak up? Like, what kind of leadership is that? Like, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. Anybody in the Trump administration that says that they were against the war, like, I don't want to hear. Maybe Tulsi, just because of her track record and because at least like she testified before Congress saying that Iran was not a threat and that they did not have the resources or the motivations to make the nuclear weapons. Like, maybe I'll give her the benefit of the doubt, but even that, she'd be on like probation with me. But there's not a single person in this Trump administration that should ever get elected into office again. And if they do, then, oh my God, are people even more, actually, I shouldn't use that word, but people are even more foolish than I thought. Hold on, let me find the next clip. I got to get better at this too. All right, let's see. What's the next one? What else do I have here? Yo, you know what? Let's check out Trigger Smart. I didn't even watch this yet. I was just trying to pull up a couple clips. Let's see what our boy Trigger Smart had to say. I love this comment. Sorry, I got to comment on this. I love this comment. Tell your mother I said hello. No. What do you mean it's frozen? Why? Yo, what's going on here? What do you mean it's frozen? That's annoying. Hold on. I'll fix it. Did you get the volume or no? Let's see. Yo, why is it always something? There we go.
And then
Tell me over and over. Trump is a Trump. Trump is a Trump.
It was probably my fault, guys. Sorry about that.
And I've seen mostly who you would expect. It's mostly your anti-Trump, no kings, fuck ICE, those type of people. Constant lines of people coming in from all directions. So basically the whole midtown, almost downtown, the whole area has people coming in from every direction. And then if you look straight all the way out there behind those trees, that's where everyone's gathering. And I've seen several signs so far that said not paid to do this. And I have some friends out here who are in even smaller towns, and they said there's, maybe 30 to 50 people that have gathered for No Kings, and there's small little towns out there as well. So they're definitely trying to get this going everywhere.
Yo, Shout out to Trigger Smart for putting in the work and actually showing up and getting out of the house and going to the scene. Like that is awesome. I wish I actually like didn't live under a rock and like actually knew what was going on besides like my little bubble of the research that I do, because that's what I should have done yesterday. I found out this morning that there was one of these protests going on 2 miles away from my house. I would have definitely showed up. And here I am. I was trying to convince Danks last night to drive an hour and a half with his camera. I'm like, dude, I'll stream with you all night. But yo, definitely check out this video, the full video. I'll play a little more of it, but it's called Armed Security, Hidden Faces, and No Kings in Nebraska. What really happened? So make sure you go and you check it out and hit them with a like for me.
And so far, from what I've seen here, I would assume the turnouts in the big cities are going to be pretty sizable. And you can hear the crowd in the background. Hello. Oh, nice. Did you make all these?
Yes, we do. Our shirts are 30, our hats are 30, our buttons are 1 for 5.
So are you local police or just citizen just hanging out?
Private security.
Private security?
The event hired us.
Okay.
Just here to keep everyone safe. I'm our team's medic, so just want to keep everyone safe. Yeah, oh, it's going to be a good turnout.
Filming? Media? It's a lot bigger turnout than I was expecting.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I figured like Portland and New York and stuff would be very sizable, but there's only 300,000 people in Omaha. So
half of them are here.
Yeah.
You know what? Thanks.
Thank you. Got a know your right card. They're putting dollar bills out.
But you know what? This is... It makes me happy. Like, even when I see protests like this and I don't agree with the message of the protests, which this is not one of the case. I just feel like they're not given the full, they're not being told the full story on what they should really be protesting. But anytime I see Americans of any age, whether it's kids, people my age, people older, that are like getting out of the house and speaking up and protesting at these events, it just reminds me how freaking lucky we are to be Americans. Like, even despite the corruption, even despite the evil and everything that's going on, like, we could still do this. Like, people can still rise up. They still have voices that can be heard. And we have to, it's like use it or lose it. If we don't start speaking up and we don't really get organized and protest the right things and the right people, you know, the day might come where we lose these privileges, where we're not able to do this. And I really think that that is the long-term goal. I think that there are a lot of people that know that we still have the power, and they're doing everything that they can to brainwash us and to just try to manipulate us and just keep controlling the narrative. You know, give us heroes, give us villains, give us people to rally behind, give us people to, you know, to point all the anger and resentment at and all the blame. And it's never the people that are really pulling the strings. And that's why things don't really change, because the people that get the people that really run the world, okay, they don't get voted for. There are no elections. They don't want to be on camera. They don't want you to know their face. They don't want you to know what they look like or their family's names. They want to do it behind the scenes. All these politicians, all these people that you think are responsible for all this, you know, they're just all a bunch of succubuses. Like, they are like the lowest of the low, the scum of the earth. These are people that get in front of cameras, they get on, you know, in front of podiums, and they give these rah-rah speeches, and they go around trying to tell everybody that they want to hear, knowing damn well that their minds are already made up, if you even want to call it that. But they're only in those positions. They're only in front of the cameras. They're only on those podiums because they've made promises to the people that really run the world and really have the control. And the decisions that they're going to make have already been made for them. And that's why I say it's all theater. It's all charade. It's all bullshit. And the more that you keep feeding into it, the more that you keep believing in these false idols and you keep pointing your resentment at the people that they want you to point the resentment at, you know, the more people blame Erica Kirk for Charlie Kirk and whatever happened to him, the less of a chance there is that we're ever going to find the truth and that there's ever going to be real accountability. Because make no mistake, okay? Erica Kirk was not responsible for whatever happened to Charlie Kirk. She's playing her role just like any other scumbag politician. And people need to realize this. And they need to like wake up to these realities. We'll get more on that in a little bit.
Yeah, this guy up there handing that dollar.
Let's skip around a little bit.
Very respectful. No fights, no arguments, not blocking roads, not blocking streets.
This is how it should be.
Want to be heard. We got more over here. So they had a big turnout. Guy dressed like Jesus. I don't know if they do the blue dot thing where you're at, but blue dots here means Democrat. And then we have some flags, American flags. So as you can see, still a lot of people out here representing No Kings. It looks like the park where...
All right, let's see. There's actually another one that I wanted to do. Yeah, we'll save the best one for last.
And unless we change how our economy works, our younger generation, our kids, for the first time in modern history, will have a lower standard of living than their parents. So today, we not only say no to Trump's authoritarianism, we say no to Mr. Musk, no to Mr. Bezos and Mr. Zuckerberg and Mr. Ellison and all the other multi-billionaires.
You see what I mean? You guys see what I'm talking about, though? We'll get right back to that. Don't worry. He says a lot. But he's saying we're saying no to Trump. We're saying no to Musk. We're saying no to Bezos. We're saying no to the billionaires. Like, that's what the Democrats do. They try to control the narrative. They don't want you to blame the real institutions. It's never like, oh, we're going to say no to the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds and the Fed and the central banking system. They never say that. They never say that. You know, they'll throw a name like Larry Ellison out there, like just to like scratch the itch a little bit. But they never talk about the real problem. You're not hearing Bernie Sanders say no to AIPAC. You know what I mean? Like, none of these Democrats, they're not saying no to AIPAC money. Are you kidding me? No shot. You know, they're not really protesting the war with Iran. Like, they might say they are, but they're not really pushing for it. What, they're organizing an event a month later? Really? Think about it. March 28th. It was a month later. The war started on February 28th. They had over 3,000 events. You don't think they could have protested a little sooner? Why didn't they protest this why didn't they plan to organize this when they knew that the files were getting covered up? Think about it. And if all these Democrats really have a problem with Trump and they really have a problem with the Republicans and they really want to oust them and win the midterms, and why aren't they bringing up Charlie Kirk? Because there is more than enough evidence to warrant a real investigation into Erica Kirk and Turning Point USA. If I was a Democrat, if I was a Democratic politician, I'd be hammering that home. I'd be showing up at these rallies saying, yeah, and Charlie Kirk, we might not have liked him, but he didn't have to die. And we know it wasn't Tyler Robinson. So what do the Republicans get? Why don't the Republicans want us to know the truth? Why aren't they doing it? What are they hiding? What are they hiding? What happened at that crime scene? You know what I mean? Like they could totally. It's just like Trump. Just like when they went after Trump for the clerical errors and they ignored the files. Like right now they're just ignoring Charlie Kirk. You know, they got the gun with the silver bullet, and they're just, you know, just stashing it, just throwing it in the lake. It makes no sense to me. It makes no sense to me. It's all the same bullshit. It's all the same straw man arguments. Oh, it's the billionaires. It's Donald Trump. Yo, come on. And let's not forget, in 2016, Bernie Sanders won the primary. And yet, somehow, Hillary Clinton still ran in the election. And didn't even, like, does anybody even remember the name of the guy that she chose for the ticket? Anybody? Put it in the chat if you remember the name of the guy that Hillary Clinton picked to be the potential vice president on the ticket with her. They didn't even give Bernie the ticket. Totally stuck it up this guy's ass. Pardon my French.
You cannot have it all. We will create an economy that works for all Americans, not just the 1%. Brothers and sisters, it is not just the authoritarianism of the Trump administration that we must combat. It is not just the oligarchs and their insatiable greed that we must combat. Now, as the news literally of today reminds us.
Oh, shit. I didn't even watch this. You think he's going to do it? You think he's going to bring up Benihana's? What do you guys think? Did anyone watch this? Don't spoil it for the rest of us. Let's find out.
We have got to stop the out-of-control militarism of the Trump administration, whether it is here at home in cities like Minneapolis and St. Paul or abroad.
We have to stop the militarization of the United States. I mean, that's close. That's close. I would have brought up the foreign influence. I would have said that we need to stop the foreign influence and stop letting a foreign nation control what our military does. But that's just me. But why isn't he talking about it?
Let us be honest. The American people were lied to.
Yes, it was Kaine. It was Tim Kaine was going to be Hillary Clinton's pick. But you see, no one even freaking knows. No one even remembers.
About the war in Vietnam. We were lied to about the war in Iraq. And we are being lied to today about the war in Iran.
Why don't you tell us the truth about the lies that we were told about Iraq? We all know that they lied to us about weapons of mass destruction, but who told us that they had those weapons of mass destruction? We know that we were lied to about 9/11, but what really happened on 9/11? We know that we're being lied to about Iran, but why are we really in this war? Is Bernie Sanders going to tell us? Or is he just going to keep blaming Trump? Let's see.
This war must end immediately. In the last election, Donald Trump pointed out correctly the huge amounts of money that had been wasted in wars that should have been spent rebuilding America. He campaigned as a peace candidate, and he promised no more forever wars. He lied.
See, what Bernie Sanders is saying right now is 100% correct. But he's leaving some parts out. Why did he lie? What made Trump change his mind? You think maybe it was a couple $100 million and some Muriel Nadelson money? You know, is he going to bring it up? Do you think that Bernie Sanders has the balls to say Miriam Adelson's name right now? I don't.
1 month ago, Trump and his partner, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, started a war with Iran. This war is unconstitutional. Trump did not seek or receive authorization from Congress. This war is...
He gets some points for bringing up Benny. He gets some points. Damn, maybe Benny really is gone. If Bernie Sanders is dropping his name like that, he might be off the board too. I don't know.
It's a violation of international...
Hey, Benny, how many fingers am I holding up?
law. One sovereign nation cannot simply go about attacking another sovereign nation for any reason it chooses. Since this war began, 13 American soldiers have been killed and hundreds have been wounded, including another 12 yesterday. In Iraq.
And let's not forget that there's like over 1,500 Iranians that are killed. Last I checked, that a lot of their clean water facilities have been destroyed, their oil refineries have been destroyed, and we're talking about civilians being killed. There's a lot of I don't want to say, and I hope it's not irreparable damage in Iran, but they're going to be set back for a very long time. The entire world is. In Lebanon, there's like 1,000 people that have been killed already, and over 1 million have been displaced. It's really sad. And even, I know a lot of people aren't fans of Benihana, but if you look at what's going on there are a lot of civilians over there that did not want this, that did not ask for this, that don't have any kind of control. And they're stuck underground in shelters at night while their homes are getting destroyed. Regardless of your political views, regardless of who you think is to blame for these problems in the world, you have to remember something. Everybody's getting indoctrinated in some form or another and on some level or another. And it's like what they say in the Bible, like, forgive them, they know not what they do. Like, that stands for everybody. Just like a lot of these people that are MAGA, that are still supporting Trump, they don't know better. They still believe the bullshit. They still think that Trump is the hero that's going to save the day, that he closed the border, that he's going to get the sleeper cells, that we have to do this war. Like, they still believe it. They believe it. And then you got these people on the left that think that Bernie Sanders is really a man for the people and that he's telling the whole story and the whole truth. And that Kamala was the better choice than Trump. And that the real Joe Biden was actually president, which, from what I understand, even that's up for debate. You see some of the pictures, the differences in his face, his earlobes. You got one guy, the earlobes are loose like mine. The other, they're connected. There's like a height discrepancy. You see two different Joe Bidens that are like, one is 6 inches taller than the other. It's like, we don't even know who was running the country during those years. It really is insane when you think about it.
Iran, nearly 2,000 civilians have been killed and many more wounded, and 498 schools have been bombed by American and Israeli missiles.
I know, right? That could be one of the ways that we find out. We need to look. We need to start looking at the footage of those 4 years that Joe Biden was president, and we got to find footage to see if he was sniffing any hair. Because if that guy was not sniffing the heads of children, he probably wasn't the real Joe Biden.
In Lebanon, more than 1,000 people are dead, and more than 1 million Lebanese people, 15% of their population, have been displaced from their homes. In
See, I just said that a minute ago. Bernie's doing his homework too. Good for you, Bernie.
Israel, 20 people have been killed and over 5,000 wounded. In the West Bank, Israeli vigilantes are burning down homes and killing Palestinians. At a time when gas prices are soaring, when many Americans cannot afford the basic necessities of life, it is estimated that this war has already cost $1 trillion.
Yo, that's crazy if that's true.
At a time when the
Oh, we're so
American
screwed.
people are politically divided, there is one issue that is bringing us together. Conservatives, moderates, and progressives are speaking out in unison. End this war. And
see, we need somebody that could get in front of crowds like that. We need institutions that are going to organize these crowds so that people with real balls that really care about America and want to make real changes can get up there and tell the truth. And be like, listen, I know you guys think it's all Trump, but Trump is just a puppet. And this is the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, the Vatican, Benihana, the Chabad. It's all them. It's all them. All these politicians that you see, they're all just a bunch of bottom feeders. But you're never going to see it. You're never going to see it.
And as a U.S. Senator, I want to just mention to you about what I intend to do about it. First, we have got to make sure that Congress does not send another $200 billion to fight this war.
I think they're going to spend a lot more than that.
Supplemental appropriation for the war in Iran must be defeated. Secondly, I will be forcing a vote in the Senate on legislation to block the sale of nearly $1 billion in weapons to the Israeli military for bombs and bulldozers. A nation, a government that has committed genocide in Gaza does not need more military support from American taxpayers.
Wow. I think Bernie had a little whiskey before he got on stage. He's really going there. Good for you, Bernie.
My fellow Americans, we are all proud to live in a country which throughout our history has inspired people throughout the world to struggle for freedom, for democracy, and justice. And we understand that when we stand together and not let demagogues divide us up, we can continue to inspire the world to believe in a brighter future.
I gotta say, I agree with Mad here. I'm really happy he said it. He's saying most of the right things, but it's still hard to trust him, and he's definitely still holding back. Like he's not bringing any new information out there. He's kind of pandering a little bit. You know, still clap for him. Still happy he's saying what he's saying, but it still feels like a level of narrative control to me.
Yes, we can create a vibrant democracy by ending Citizens United and not allow billionaires to buy elections. Yes, we can create an economy that works for every man, woman, and child in our country, and not just a handful of billionaires. Yes, we can make certain that the revolutionary technologies of artificial intelligence and robotics are used to improve life for all of us and not just make the rich owners of that technology even richer. Yes, we can and must join the rest of the industrialized world and guarantee health care as a human right for all of our people. Yes, instead of spending $1 trillion a year on the military, we can wipe out homelessness and build millions of units of low-income and affordable housing.
You know, all this talk that they always do about affordable housing, like, why don't they just start growing food? Like, why don't we just start there? Instead of constantly putting more concrete everywhere, imagine they just started growing fruit. Can you imagine that? If it was like government-funded fruit that was just free for the public. And it was also free from Bill Gates and his fucking crazy chemicals and stuff that he's trying to spray in all the produce. But could you just imagine if like there were just areas like a giant park, like Central Park in the city, or like wherever you guys live, like whatever the big park is, if there was just an area that just had free fruit, like wouldn't that be a start? Like wouldn't that be something? Like something that they're definitely capable of, that would at least help feed the homeless, and not just the homeless, but just anybody. Like even if they're rich, who cares? Like, why aren't we taking advantage of the things that God gave us? Why are they trying to control the water? Why are they trying to block out the sun? Why are they trying to have a stranglehold on the whole food supply? Like, to me, these are like basic things that they could literally start doing overnight that could make all the difference in the world. And it wouldn't take a whole lot of money.
Yes, in the richest country on earth, we can have the best public educational system in the world, tuition free from childcare to graduate school. Yes, we can expand Social Security and radically improve our pension system so that every senior in America can retire with dignity. Yes, we can raise the minimum wage to a living wage and guarantee every worker the right to join a union.
But like, not for nothing, you know, and this is where I got to stop it, because this guy's been talking the same shit for how many years? Like, how many years have we been talking about this? You know, it's like the same rah-rah speech. Nothing ever happens. Nothing ever changes. You know, if you look up the analytics of the stuff that went on with the amount of deportations and the amount of countries that got bombed under Obama, you know, it's insane. You know, I don't know. I don't know. Like, they say a lot of good things. They tell us things that we want to hear. But at the end of the day, what really changes? What are they really doing? You know, they say just enough. Like, you listen to this guy do enough of these speeches, and he'll say just enough to get you to believe that if you vote for him, that he'll make a difference, that he cares enough to make a difference. But don't forget, this guy, Bernie Sanders, he's been in this game for decades. Decades. He's a pro. He knows exactly what he's doing. You know, and Trump did the same thing. Trump got in front of those crowds. He got on that microphone. He gave these rah-rah speeches, and he promised us the world. Promised us the world. And then what happened when he finally got into office? You know, Obama, back in 2008, the whole slogan was it was change. He was going to bring the change. You know, from Bush to Obama, there really wasn't a difference. There really wasn't a difference. I was like 11 years old when Bush became president. I was like 18, 19 when Obama became president. and you look at the 8 years of Bush and the 8 years of Obama, it was like the same thing. It really was. It's actually crazy, like looking back now that I think about it. It wasn't a big difference at all. You know, and then we got Trump, and it felt like it was going to be a big change. You know, same thing. When Obama first got elected, it felt like there was a different energy. It felt like the change was there, you know, and I think a lot of that was just indoctrination and the whole idea that we had a black president. You know, I think that it felt like progress, but it was like a false progress. You know, it's just a different shade of the same freaking bullshit. You know, pun intended. And then in 2016, when Trump won, we really felt like things were going to be different. Not really. I don't know. And then now, having Trump 2.0, it's like a horror show. Like, things are worse than ever. All right. I do not have my outro music. So now I want to just hang out with you guys a little bit. I did my hour. I played my clips. I did my little rah-rah rants. So let's hear what you guys have to say. Waffles. Waffles is in the house? Bayes is cute. Don't let him fool you. Yo, you've been saying this bullshit for weeks. Bayes is cute. It's so funny. Oh, man. Yeah, look at this. We even fell for Trump didn't know what he was up against, so we elected him again. Yeah, same thing with Obama. It was like, oh, Obama didn't get a fair chance his first term because everybody was racist. You know, we got to give him another chance. Let him finish the job. It worked out real great. Oh, thank you. I try to put on a good show. Vote harder. You think that'll do it? Vote harder? Oh, my God. It's so funny. Oh, thank you, Tony. You're the best. I really appreciate it. I appreciate all you guys. I really hope you know that. I really hope you know that, you know. I do have a new song. Yo, you know, I actually sometimes make music. I haven't made music in a while. Maybe one of these days I'll get back to it. A lame duck president so he could do whatever he wants? Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. You know, it's such a disappointment. Such a disappointment. But Trump is in it for himself right now. Right now, Trump, he's all about trying to turn his family into like the next Rockefeller dynasty. I think that's what it is. I think he's cutting deals left and right to make sure his family's taken care of for generations, and so that they're going to have enough money and influence to brand his legacy how they see fit, regardless of what the truth is. And I think that that's probably what's happened a lot over the years. You know? Like, could you imagine if in 50 years that kids in America are like learning that like Benjamin Netanyahu was like this great war hero? You know, like that's the type of bullshit I could see them doing. You know, the next iteration, it's going to go from like the Robert Maxwell public school textbooks to like the Jared Kushner edition. You know what I mean? Like, this is like the type of shit that like we're up against that we need to stop. You know, I feel like good or bad, you need to have the truth. People deserve the truth. It just sucks because people can't handle the truth. You know, like the older I get and the more that I learn and the more that I talk to people, the more that I realize that people just can't handle the truth. They just can't. And right now, I talk to a lot of people that are, you know, in their 50s and 60s, you know, even some in their late 40s. And I try to like explain certain things to them about the files and different lies that we've been told and taught throughout history. and they just can't accept it. Like, even if you put the facts right in front of their face and spell it out for them, they still just are in this denial and want to have their head in the sand, because you're basically trying to convince somebody that their entire life is a lie. You know, maybe not their life and their immediate decisions, but their reality, like what they always perceived to be real from the time they were young children. You know, that has to be a really, really hard thing to like process and to grasp and to admit, you know, and I don't know if I'd be able to do it. Like, the depression that I went into when I really read what was, like, when I started doing my own research about the files and started getting an idea about what was happening to children. And then when the files came out and a lot of my theories were validated and verified, like, that sucked. Like, that, I'm telling you, man, like, and that's part of the reason why I don't care if I'm wrong, and why I say that I'm not married to any of my theories, that I try to break it down into math and be objective and not get like emotionally invested like the way I did with the Charlie Kirk case. Because make no mistake, that was, in some form or another, whether he's dead or alive, that was a psyop. And that was like weaponized trauma that we all experienced. And because we experienced that trauma, it is clouding our judgment on the way that we should be looking at the evidence. Because we keep thinking about how we look at Charlie and what it would mean if Charlie was really offed by all these people and betrayed by his wife. And also what it would really mean if he were still alive. And just like I say that, like, these people that are in their 50s and 60s that can't really accept, like, that our you know, our politics are theater, and that a lot of our history is a lie, and that a lot of what we believe to be reality is just like this little bubble of bullshit that we've been indoctrinated to believe so that we can be kept in line and kept under control. Anybody who has been following this Charlie Kirk case, that really cared about him and really like felt this like traumatic experience and this bonds with other people, and have been following the people that are doing the investigation and really committed to it. You know, the idea that he could still be alive is like this harsh, harsh potential reality that a lot of us don't want to face, you know, and myself included. Because I told you guys, I started having this, I started leaning more towards that back in December, and I bounced back. I went back and forth with it in my head for like a week or two. And then, you know, by the time January came around, I'm like, nah, there's just no way. There's just no way. And every time I watch certain videos of Charlie, it gets harder and harder to believe that it could have been staged. Because I do believe in what he says. I do believe in his words, in what I believe he stood for. And I do believe that those were all motives to have him killed. I do. I'm not contesting that at all. But once you start to consider that those were all motives to have him killed, you start to realize that a guy that smart with that type of pattern recognition, if those were his kids, he loves those kids, that those were also motives for him to disappear and take his children and get away and just say, screw all this. You know, like, you can never underestimate what a person is willing to do for his family and what he's willing to do for his kids. So, you know, that's why I say that we don't know any of these people. You know, and I don't know, for those of you that watched my live, I was even talking about Tucker Carlson. Like, I love Tucker Carlson. He's one of the people that, like, he's one of the big voices that like changed his mind, and that he's speaking out. He's saying all the right things. He did the documentary on 9/11. He's speaking up for Charlie Kirk to an extent. He's speaking up against Benihana and the files. You know, like, he's calling things out. But at the end of the day, like, he went to Israel and he had that interview with Mike Huckabee. He went to Amfest and he shared a stage with Erica Kirk. You know, and then you look at who helped him start the Tucker Carlson network, and it's a guy that used to work under Dick Cheney after 9/11. You know, now I'm not bashing Tucker. I'm not telling you not to trust Tucker, but I'm just saying, after the level of betrayal that I felt with Trump, it's hard for me to trust any of these people because I don't know them personally. They're not my friends. They're not my neighbors. I didn't go to school with them. And I got news for you. A lot of the people that I actually know, my friends, my neighbors, people I went to school with, certain relatives, I don't even trust them. So why the fuck would I trust somebody I watch on YouTube? You know, and you guys could feel the same way about me. And guess what? I won't be offended. I won't be offended. And that's why I feel that it's so important to just be real and tell the truth, because I promise you, your lies are going to catch up to you. They caught up to Trump. They caught up to Erica Kirk. And anybody else right now in this industry that's lying about different things, they're going to catch up to you too. It's only a matter of time, because every time you lie, you have to remember those lies and you have to stick to that story, or else you're going to trip over your own bullshit. Just ask Andrew Colvette. We're seeing it happen with him in real time. But that doesn't mean that he was involved in a conspiracy to kill Charlie Kirk. It really doesn't. And all these videos that we see of Charlie Kirk saying all the things that we love and all the things that we believe and that resonate with us in our hearts, it doesn't mean that he wouldn't stage his own death or that he would even have a say in the matter. It's just the truth. And I don't say any of these things to try to cloud anybody's judgment. I'm not telling anybody what to think. I'm just being open. I'm being transparent. I'm letting you guys try to give you guys a peek into my brain and see how I process these things and how I think about these things, and thinking that maybe I can inspire you to just think differently or think a little harder or go about it from a different angle. Don't be so emotionally invested. Don't allow yourself to be dragged and led by some false idol with a carrot on a stick. And that's not a jab at anybody in particular. I'm speaking in a generalization here. And that's really how I feel. And that's why I'm not afraid to say the things that I say. I'm not afraid to question the people that I question, because at the end of the day, if they're the real deal, then that's gonna come to light too. That's gonna be reinforced. And when I see that, I will give those people my support. I will admit when I was wrong about certain things. I will be like, hey, remember that time that I said this and criticized this person and I thought that they were doing this or like whatever? I was wrong. That person's awesome. They were right. They were right the whole time. I have no problem saying that. I'm not trying to attack it. Well, I am trying to attack certain people. If you watched my my episode on Dan Bongino the other night, I was definitely attacking his bitch ass. But for the most part, I'm not like going out of my way, just trying to, be super critical. But at the same time, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, it's not going to happen. I'm just not falling for it. Like my standard for what it takes for me to really believe somebody and trust somebody, like you have to earn my trust. You're not going to flatter me and give me a couple compliments and say the things that I want to hear and me be like, "Oh my God, this person's the best." Yeah. Like it's not going to happen. And I don't think that you guys should feel that way either. I think you need to look at where this information is coming from. If somebody's telling you all the right things and all the things that you want to hear, you need to look at that person's circle. You need to look at that person's history. You got to use pattern recognition and see if there's any breaks in patterns over the years. Find out who they're working with. Find out who they used to work with. Find out who their partners used to work with. Find out who they're married to. Find out who's invested in them. Find out who donates to them, who their sponsors are, who they donate to. There's a lot of questions that you need to ask yourself about these people before you just say, "Oh yeah, that's my person." And that's why I always speak about false idols and just try to wake people up to that concept, because eventually you're going to get let down. You're going to get set up. And if you don't think if you don't believe that there's controlled opposition on all platforms, then you are really, really naive and you are definitely getting set up for disappointment in the future. And like I said, Trump is the perfect example of that because we listened to him for over 10 years. And then for years before that, years before he ran for office, where he spoke about how detrimental these Middle Eastern wars and these never-ending wars have been for America, and all the insider trading and all the deals that get cut and the way that our politics work. You know, he even allegedly was an informant against, or he was on the record saying something to the FBI about you know who, saying, "Oh, I'm glad you got him. We all knew what was going on." Like, this guy was saying the right things for years. He said some of the wrong things too, but he said a lot of the right things. And then what happened? We get Trump 2.0. He wins this election. And the files, they like cling on to them for dear life. Charlie Kirk gets offed, allegedly, and whatever happens, that's being covered up and staged. There's no accountability. J.E.'s out living his best life. Ghislaine Maxwell gets snuck out of jail. Nobody gets arrested, and we're at war with Iran. And then people want to criticize me because I say, hey, you know what? Maybe I don't trust this particular YouTuber as much as you do. You know, maybe I want to like give it a little more time. And maybe I noticed something that they said or some type of inconsistency or something that doesn't really make sense, something that triggered alarms with my pattern recognition. And then I like think out loud and I speak out about it. And all of a sudden I get a bunch of people that think I'm an asshole, that think that I'm causing some form of infighting. Well, number one, I think you're giving me too much credit because I have a small channel, and I don't just have a small channel. I have like a really small channel. I mean, I'll get 90 viewers on a good day. Like a lot of these people that I speak about, they're getting tens of thousands. Just think about that. They're getting tens of thousands of viewers. Sometimes, I mean, look at Candace. She gets hundreds of thousands sometimes, you know? And then when they're dropping episodes, they're in the millions. You know, if I put up 5,000 on a video, that's a really good day for me. You know, if I get $80 or $100 in supers, that's a W. You know, and I'm happy with that. I'm new to this. I'm learning as I go. I'm starting from the bottom. I don't have a team. I don't really have any big cosigns. I'm not going on other people's shows. I work with Danks. I work with Kelly. I worked with a couple other people here and there. I speak to some other people behind the scenes. But you talk about organic and grassroots, and this is what it really looks like. And I'm not pandering. I'm not kissing anybody's ass. I'm not holding back. I call it like I see it. And every day I look at my subs and I gain a few and I lose a few, you know, but my trajectory is it's going up. My support is getting stronger. I have, you know, all of you guys, I got people paying for memberships, you know, paying $6 to $10 a month, you know, and I try to make it worth it, but that's really just to support my channel and try to like make this sustainable for me because I'm not making money. And I try to do the members only lives, you know, do one. And actually, I'm going to do a members only live. I don't know if I'm going to do it today. I want to either do it tonight. If I don't do it tonight, I will definitely do it tomorrow, though, just to let you guys know. But, you know, the bottom line is like I have a small base, but I have the best base. I have the best base. You guys are the best. And that's why I try to read every email, read every DM. And you guys know, if you're watching this now and you've ever reached out to me, you know that I answer. You know that I get back. Like we're really like we're all doing this together. Like I might have the platform, but I don't put myself on a pedestal. And I don't just try to speak for myself. I try to speak for you guys too. And if you disagree with anything that I have to say, like I welcome, like last night, you saw when me, Danks, and Kelly, like we're setting it up and we're even setting up a phone number so that on Saturday nights, you guys are going to be able to call in and we'll put a timer up. You guys can speak your mind. This is not an echo chamber. This is not like some kind of cult where I'm telling you guys what to think. And if people disagree with me that, oh, attack. No, I welcome everybody. Everybody's welcome here. All opinions are welcome. If you guys disagree with me about something, tell me. I'm open for a debate. I'm open for a conversation. You got some evidence? I want to see it. You know, you want some evidence from me? Like how many times? How many of you guys have emailed me asking for notes on some of my ChatGPT prompts and want to like look at my actual data and my research? I'm like, yeah, no problem. Here you go. You know, I send the links. It hasn't happened all that much, but when it does happen, I always share it. I'm like an open book with you guys. I'm not hoarding information. I'm not like sitting on something for months at a time and waiting for the right time to reveal it. No, like we're all in this together. And that's why I'm not sweating. Like being a small channel, that works for me. Because guess what? I'm not going to be a small channel forever. I'm not. I know that this is going to grow. You know how I know? Because I'm not going to fucking stop. I'm going to scratch and claw until I get to number 1. Number 1. Mark my words. And if I don't, that's okay. That's okay. But that's what I'm aiming for. And I am, this is, like I said, this is what real organic grassroots looks like. And this is also what honesty looks like. If you guys watched my live on Wednesday, I spilled my guts. I put out some of my deepest, darkest secrets. The type of shit that my opposition would want to find out about me and hang over my head and put out there to bury me. But I put it out first because I have nothing to hide. Because I know that there was a time where I was making mistakes. I know there was a time that I was a piece of shit. But I took accountability. I did everything I could to make things right, and I repented. Not just with my actions, but with the way that I think. Because that's what it really means to repent. It's not just about changing what you do. It's changing how you think, how you view people, how you view the world, your morality, your values. And that's why it's like anything you think you got on me, anything with my past, fucking bring it. Let's go, you know, because there is nothing anybody is going to tell you guys about me that I won't tell you first. And that's just the truth. And I don't know if a lot of these people could say the same. I really don't. I think that a lot of these people, they got some skeletons in their closet that, you know, maybe they're going to try to control the narrative with if it comes out at one point. But I can promise you one thing. You're never going to find anybody as open and transparent as me. You're just not. But anyway, that is my time. I love you guys. You know what? Let me see. Look out for my Facebook and my Discord. Oh, man, you got to do me a favor. We got to send everybody the link in the Discord so that they know where to go. I'm going to call my girl and find out what time she's supposed to be coming home because I don't want to make any commitments. But I might go live and do a members only at 5 o'clock, and I'll do a Q&A, and I'll come back on StreamYard so we can put all the comments on the screen, and we'll just hang out, and maybe I'll find a good video for us to cover. Maybe we'll cover some more of the Jimmy Dore, Whitney Webb interview, and the Michael Franzese and John Kiriakou. There's definitely another part that I want to cover on there. I want to look into the part where they talk about JFK, and I think that that would make for a really good members-only video. So I'm going to make this phone call, and you guys look out because I will tell you in about 10 minutes whether or not I'm going to be members-only at 5 o'clock. And to everybody that's not a member and, you know, not planning on becoming a member, that's okay. I am going to have more fresh content for you guys tomorrow. I want to increase how much I stream, but I have to prioritize the smaller videos first because that's better for growth. It's just the way it is. I prefer to just come up here live and hang out and just be myself and do my thing and interact with you guys. But I do got to try to grow the channel a little bit. I do got to try to pay the bills. So I'm trying to find the balance, but I am going to be live a lot this week. So don't you guys worry. But I love all of you. I thank you all for taking the time to hang out with me right now. And I might be back at 5 o'clock. Like I said, look out. I'll post it on Discord and on Facebook and on X. But like I always say, guys, be kind, be grateful, do something nice for somebody, and pray. And I will see you guys soon.